All right, good afternoon, Central Florida. Welcome to the Q, Radio 1410 WQBQ. We are the voice of Lake County. As promised, I have a special guest in the studio today. We want to make a very special welcome to Mr. Michael Brehne. Hey, Mr. Michael Brehne, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you are an attorney.
I am an attorney for the last 24 years.
24 years. You don't even look but about 30. So
I appreciate
you when you were 12?
Almost.
Hey, tell everybody a little bit about your background.
Well, born and raised East Brunswick, New Jersey. I went to the University of Florida.
Gators.
Yeah, go Gators. And then after that, I joined the Orlando Police Department. And while I was there, I was a patrol officer, field training officer, emergency response team. And then I got promoted to do undercover narcotics investigations. And I worked on that for about 2 years and decided to leave and go to law school.
Well, that was pretty exciting, wasn't it?
That was good stuff.
I bet it was. And then you decided to go to law school. What made you do that?
Well, I felt that I wanted to get some more education, and I was looking at all the possible avenues of academia that I could pursue,
Sure.
And I just couldn't do math and science. So being a doctor was just out of the question, and I decided I'd take the LSAT and see if I get into law school, and I did.
Wow. I know that you practice several areas of law, so let's jump right into it. What's coming up here in the next month or so? Hurricane season.
Well, we've got that coming. Yeah, we got storm season.
Yeah, storm season.
Yeah, we've already seen one or two of those, and then we got the hurricanes coming in the fall. So I practice an area of insurance litigation where I represent homeowners against their insurance companies when the insurance companies don't pay the claims.
So you mean if the insurance company says, sorry, that's not covered, you'll go to bat for us?
Oh, absolutely. Right.
Nice.
That's my job. The insurance companies have a lot of excuses, and they've got a lot of defenses that they raise, and we see them in all the cases. They'll raise 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3 of the most common things. You know, one is you failed to maintain it. One that was a pre-existing condition that wasn't storm related.
Right.
And
We've all heard that one.
Yeah, and then the third one is that they're just, you know, there's no evidence to support, like there's wind or uplift or anything like that, and we have to hire experts, engineers to come out there and actually point out all the subtleties that show evidence of storm damage.
Well, your investigation services in that area taught you a few things, right?
You know, that's been invaluable to me because I can speak to the experts and I can speak to the clients and the roofers, and I have a good rapport with everyone, and I understand each one of the notions that are coming out, and it just makes me very effective.
That's awesome. Hey, everybody out there in Radio Land, if you'd like a question, if you'd like to call in and ask the attorney, Attorney Michael Brehne, while he's here, the telephone number to call is 352-315-1410, and he'll do his best to take your questions.
Absolutely.
And if we have to write down your phone number and cut back with you, we can do that as well, correct? Okay. All right. And so with that being said, storm claims versus insurance company. So I'm glad to know that you are there to fight. I mean, you know, you think, well, can I really go after my insurance company legally?
Well, absolutely. And what's great about that in Florida is if you prevail in a claim against your insurance company, the insurance company is going to pay my attorney's fees.
Hey, how cool is that?
It's the best. So most people that I represent for these storm claims don't ever pay my office a dime. We negotiate our fees with the insurance company at the end of the case when we win.
So if a tree from my next door neighbor's house falls and hits my house, then what?
Yeah, it's a little different.
That's a little different.
Yeah, because that's
due to a storm,
that's
though.
Okay, if it was due to a storm.
Due to a storm.
All right, so now you'll make your claim to your insurance company, and I really find that very difficult to believe that they would deny anything like that.
Sure.
But if they did, then you could call me, and then I would be happy to represent you. My fees would be paid by the insurance company if we won, and you know, you would have no out-of-pocket expenses.
That's awesome. Hey, another form of law that you practice is family law. Boy, that's a big one.
Yes, it is. This is going to be a big issue going forward. Rumor has it that a lot of people are going stir crazy, being shut in for as long as they have been, and that people are getting to know their spouses better than they ever have before.
Right.
And, you know, because you don't have all the distractions of daily life. Yeah.
Correct.
And so now you realize who you're with, and maybe this isn't the right person to be with. And so I do believe that there's going to be a lot more demand for family law. And also there'll be another thing. People already have existing support orders and child support orders that they just cannot meet that obligation. Then they're going to need an attorney to help go to court and get those modified so that it would now reflect the earning capacity of that person post-COVID. Which everybody has to understand that some people haven't been working in 2-3 months, may not be able to get back to work for 2 or 3 months. And so I would need to go to court and show the court that it's not intentional, that the person just cannot make these obligations. And the court usually understands. And but you have to do that. If you just say, I can't afford it, and you tell your spouse or your ex-spouse that, hey, I just can't afford to pay you, that doesn't work. Okay, that subjects you to contempt actions, where the court's going to say, hey, we had an order. You didn't motion to change the order. You need to follow the order. So in order to get around that, all you have to do is hire an attorney, will file a motion, get you in front of the court. You tell the court what your problems are. And if you can substantiate it, more than likely the court will modify the order.
I know in the last 20 years, there's been a complete change in family law where it used to be for a dad to go after custody of his children, it was like unheard of. In the state of Florida, the woman always, that's changed in the last 15 to 20 years.
Quite a bit.
That's been a huge thing. So what if a man or a woman is ordered to pay child support and they're not paying?
Well, then there's enforcement mechanisms, and in the context of your question, I'll tell you that it does not affect any of the contact that you have with your children.
Correct. So, it doesn't interrupt your visitation.
No, if you can't pay your child support or you just refuse to pay your child support, that is not a reason to deny you contact with your child. So I want that out there.
Absolutely.
But if you've got these payments and you can't afford to make them, then you've got to ask the court for more time or to come up with another arrangement.
Sure. All right. So there's divorce. Then there's child support. What else is there for family law?
Well, you've got the dissolution, which is divorce. You've got the child support. You also have a big issue is time sharing. And as you were saying earlier, the courts tend to believe, and I think the expression was, babies belong with their mamas. And I don't think they do that anymore. I think now, especially with the advancement of the man's role in the household with the children, because women going back to work, they've got men and women have to share the child rearing activities. You can't rely on just the one parent. A lot of time, most families aren't stay-at-home parents. And so men have really come into the fold with raising their children. So the courts recognize that. It's a reflection of society. So now I think when you come into court, there would be a presumption, not a legal presumption, but a presumption that the time sharing should be equal. And knowing that when we go to court, we have to figure, are we going to ask for more than 50%? Because if you are going to ask for more than 50%, you better have a good reason for it. And if you can't come up with a good reason, it's not going to happen. And, with my clients, I don't like to put forth anything at the court that I know for a fact is just not going to happen, because the person's going to pay me to go to court only to have the result of nothing. And they've had wasted that money, and I don't like to do that. Now, if it's a 50-50 shot and the client's willing to let the judge decide, then I'm all for that. But I give my best advice, knowing the judges, knowing the law. I give my best advice to my clients, and if they tell me do it anyway, then we'll do it. But if they say, I'm not sure about the risk, I don't know that it'd be worth it, I would tend to agree with them.
So in your opinion, and I know that this has changed too in the last 15 years or so, used to be one parent got the children during the week, and then every other weekend the other parent got. Do you like the 50-50 thing better as far as the children are concerned?
The 50-50 thing is perfect, because I think what happened was they used to call that custody and visitation.
Correct.
Okay, they don't do that anymore. Now they call it time sharing and parental responsibility. So back in the days when it was visitation, you want to call a parent a visitor in the child's life? No. I think it psychologically impacts the child on who's more important in their life. Is it the one who I stay with predominantly, or is it the one that comes to visit me? And they used to have a term called Disney Dad, where if the father only got to see the children on the weekends, of course, they do the fun things on the weekend because they don't do the homework and and get them ready for school and stuff because it's just for the weekend. And I think those days are long gone. I think the fathers are much more involved willingly, and we have to reflect that in our laws and in our court proceedings.
Guardian ad litem.
Guardian ad litems, I don't do that type of work. It's unfortunate because when parents start having legal battles over the time sharing, they can't talk. The lawyers can't talk because sometimes that's the problem.
Sure.
And the court would have to force the parties to hire a neutral third person. They call a guardian ad litem. It's usually an attorney. But you remember, the court doesn't pay for that. You pay for that.
Sure.
So the dueling spouses will have to come up with the money to pay now a third lawyer. And then this third lawyer will do some interviews at the mom's house, at the dad's house, interview the children, people at school. It's a very invasive procedure, and I would recommend any of my clients to avoid that as much as possible.
Sure.
But if it has to happen, it has to happen. And then the guardian ad litem will give a report to the judge, and the judge, I would say 8 out of 10 times, will follow the guardian ad litem's recommendation.
There you go. All right, so if you have a question for Attorney Michael Brehne, call now, 352-315-1410, and feel free to ask a question here. I'm just shooting things that are coming off the top of my head, and I do have some notes here. Talk to me about... you do more than just that, though. I think I heard somewhere that you do personal injury as well.
Yeah, I would say the predominant area of law at my law firm is for personal injury. So we do mostly car accidents, and we also have a subspecialty in motorcycle litigation. And I was an accident investigator with the Highway Patrol before I joined the Orlando Police Department. And so I've investigated hundreds of accidents. And now I use those investigative skills to help me with my personal injury cases. I know how to read between the lines.
Sure.
And so we represent people who are injured on motorcycles. We've got 911 Biker Law is our website for that.
What is it again?
911 Biker Law. And we do a lot of sponsoring of major activities here, like we do Leesburg Bike Fest, and we do Bike Week, Biketoberfest, and we sponsor events at the Ace Cafe in downtown Orlando. So we're very active in the motorcycle community, and that's the fun part
Sure.
Of what I do. But it gets more serious, of course, when we're representing people for their injuries.
Well, let's tell all of our listeners, where is your office at?
We're in Altamont Springs, right at I-4 and 436, and we represent people all throughout Central Florida, and we all have cars, and we can represent people.
Several people have motorcycles.
Yeah.
I was listening to one of your spots there about family law. That's always a scary term, but you're available and you're willing to answer questions.
Absolutely.
You're always willing to. And now you said your office is in Altamont.
It is.
How do people? I know you said 911 Biker Law.
That's for our motorcycle litigation, and we also have the website 911 Family Law.
911 Family Law, folks, write that down. 911 Biker Law if you own a motorcycle. Because you may very well need, it's scary to own a motorcycle. It's tough enough to drive something with four wheels and something around you, but when people don't see you, I know somebody that was just in a horrendous motorcycle wreck. They were talking about amputating a leg, and what do you do? Well, the first thing you do is, I don't want to sound like I'm money hungry, but I need an attorney. So in that case, 911 Biker Law, or they could call your office. You want to give out your address and your phone number for me?
Sure. It's 407-645-2195 is the office, and we're located at 230 North Westmont Drive in Altamont.
That's close to I-4 and 436, correct?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so it's not that far. So I think I saw somewhere that you ride motorcycles too?
Oh, I ride motorcycles. I've been riding motorcycles since I'm a teenager.
Since you was a teen?
Yeah, I used to go to what I called mini bike camp because there was a YMCA camp in northern Jersey, and they actually had motorcycles and mini bikes. They had big tracks, little tracks. You could ride in the woods, and they would change the tracks up so that you could go in a different direction. And so it's like a new experience. And I did that probably 3 or 4 years. And I started with little Z50s,
right,
and went all the way up to CR125s by the time I left summer camp.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you have a love for the open air.
Yeah, I just love it. As a matter of fact, on the way to the station, I keep notes of the roads that I take and say, "Oh, this will be great on the motorcycle. Oh, this will be great on the motorcycle."
Sure.
So, and then I'll come back maybe over the weekend and ride it out.
Nice. Speaking of motorcycles, I understand that it was just released today that they've rescheduled Bike Weekend here in Leesburg.
Well, I just heard that before we came on air, and they've rescheduled Leesburg Bike Fest, and it's going to be the weekend of November 12th, I understand.
13, 14, 15, because the 14th is a real special day to me. So for all of you out there that was a horrible thing to have to cancel that. Yeah. I thought it was canceled till next year. I was glad to hear today the update that they're going to do it, and that's going to be a pretty good time to do it too. It's not too hot, not too cold. You may find that they enjoy this November stuff even better.
Yeah. And I think it's great that they decided not to wait for a full year.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, we're all itching to ride and go to these things. We already lost Bike Week, we lost Bike Fest, and now we're going to have that opportunity in the fall, and I'm really grateful.
Make it up right here in downtown Leesburg. How cool is that?
Very
now,
grateful.
You're a big sponsor of that, correct?
Yes, we have 2 booths there normally, and we sponsor other events.
Will one of them be 911bikerlaw.com?
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder where I learned that from.
Yeah, and then we also have our 911 auto law.
911 auto law.
Yeah, so
you got a couple of 911 sites.
Yeah, I do. And stormclaimattorney.com as well.
Storm Claim Attorney. With the hurricane season coming, and we've already had some tornadoes recently. We've already had some pretty severe weather. So, folks, if you need an attorney for storm damage, somebody that'll fight with you, with your insurance company to get some things paid, I highly recommend that you call attorney Michael Brehne. His number again is 407-645-2195. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
407-645-2195. And his office is in Altamont. And you're able to meet with people. You're able to come to them. They're able to come to you.
Yeah. In this COVID era, we've taken some precautions,
sure,
but yet at the same time, we don't want to disassociate from our clients.
Absolutely.
So what we've done is we've set up a tent and table and chairs in our parking lot, and I will come outside and I will sit with you, and we will discuss your cases across the table. I'll meet with people, do new client interviews. If my current clients need to chat, sit outside with them, give them all the information that they need. As soon as the restrictions are lifted, of course, we'll welcome people back into the office.
Sure.
And for those people who, if it's either too far or they're just not comfortable yet getting out and about, we could do everything virtually. We've got Zoom, we've got Teams, and we've got DocuSign. So everything can be done at your desktop.
Absolutely. Now, is it just you at your practice? Do you have others involved with you at your practice?
Yeah, I have 3 other attorneys. There's a total of 4 attorneys in the law firm, and then our support staff. And, we handle cases all over the state.
Now, do your other attorneys, do they handle other things other than what we've been talking about today?
No, we all do insurance litigation and personal injury. I'm the only one at the firm right now who's doing the family law.
My wife and I were discussing the other day, I kind of wish the laws were changed a little bit for grandparents' rights.
Yeah, no such thing here.
Not in Florida.
No.
Not in Florida. And that's tough. Sometimes, you see things, you hear things, and people that are having some struggles, and you want to help, but legally there's none. Do you think that'll ever change?
No, I don't. I think that because there's so much conflict amongst parents, they really just did not want to expand that out to extended family.
There you go, folks. There's a question that somebody was going to call and ask, I know. But motorcycle insurance claims, and you said auto also.
Yes, personal injury claims.
Personal injury. So if a semi ran into you and you got some issues, now is the time to reach out to your office. Hey, if you're in an auto accident, when and why should you call an attorney?
You should probably call an attorney very shortly after the accident, because what's going to happen is you're going to report it to your insurance company naturally. You're going to need to get your car fixed. You're going to need substitute vehicle, and they're going to take all the information from you when you make that initial call. That'll be from an intake person. The next thing that's going to happen is they're going to have an adjuster call you. Now, that's where there becomes issues, because the adjuster's job is to minimize the claim payout. So they'll talk to you and they'll ask you questions, and they'll have you say things that they would construe in their most favorable light in order to reduce the value of your claim or to deny it in the first place.
Sure.
You don't want to be in that situation. These people are trained to do their job, and you're not. They do this day in and day out, and you don't.
They're trained to save their company money.
Exactly. But see, I am trained for this, and I do this day in and day out. So let me speak to the insurance company for you. So I would say after you make your initial claim and before you give a recorded statement with the insurance company,
Sure.
or before you sit down or over the phone with your adjuster to talk about your damages, that's when you should call me.
Absolutely. And that number again is 407-645-2195. Everybody needs to write that down. Hey, what should I do at the scene of an accident when I get out of the vehicle?
Well, first of all, make sure everybody's okay.
Right.
If somebody's hurt, you should call 911.
Absolutely.
Immediately let them know that there's injuries. If you tell them it's just an accident, they may not come as quick. They won't
Sure.
send EMS, but you tell them that there's injuries. If you're injured, then don't get out of the car. Most common accident injuries are neck and back injuries. Mm-hmm. Some are serious enough to involve the spinal cord, and you don't want to make any unnecessary movement because if you move in a certain way with an injury, it could end up in paralysis. So
Sure.
you sit and you wait for EMS to come. They're trained to take you out of the car in the safest manner possible. Don't do it yourself. But if you're okay and you get out of the car and you look and you see, can you move your car off the side of the road? If you can move your car off to the side of the road, you probably should. You could take a picture of it before you do it, so now the officer, when they respond, will know exactly where the car was. But
Sure.
It's not as if they can't figure it out because
everybody's got a cell phone today.
yeah, true. But also, even if you didn't take a picture, there's broken headlights or tail lights where the impact occurred. It's not hard to figure that out. There might even be some skid marks, and you can figure out where the accident happened. But you do want to get the cars off the roadway
Sure.
if nobody's hurt inside the vehicle and if they're movable, because people have to get where they're going, and you don't want to be the one standing in the way. First thing the officer is going to say when he gets there is, does your car work? Yeah, get it off the road.
Sure. What's something you should not say when you have an accident?
I'm sorry I didn't see you.
I'm so sorry I didn't see you. Yeah, please don't say that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're my client, don't say it.
Regardless if you feel it's your fault or not,
Yeah.
don't get out of the car and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you."
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. That the first thing out of your mouth ought to be, are you okay? Is everybody okay? Does anybody need 911?
Right.
That's what I would say.
There you go. As a bike rider, what advantages do you have as a motorcycle attorney?
Well, I could see the angles. And anybody who rides a motorcycle understands the angles. You know the angles going into a curve, coming out of a curve. You know the angles at an intersection. You're always thinking about how you can maneuver your motorcycle out of the way of a hazard. Exactly. So I'll say that now legally. I know the angles. I know what to look for. I know when my biker tells me what they did, I understand the mechanism and mechanics of what they did and why they did it. Most police officers, for those of you who are listening, I apologize, but they don't tend to favor the motorcyclist. To say the least. And so it's my job now to explain either to the traffic court judge or to the insurance adjuster or ultimately a jury how my client maneuvered the motorcycle in the exact manner in which it was necessary to avoid the collision or a worse collision. And I think I'm best able to do that because I'll go ride the scene if I have to. I understand when they say what they say, when they talk about the lien, I know what that is. And so that just helps me prepare my case better to explain to a jury.
There you go. Folks, if you need an attorney for any of the things we've been talking about, call attorney Michael Brehne. That telephone number again is 407-645-2195. Family law, personal injury, and if you got a problem with your insurance company, you would love to talk with them about that, correct?
I'm the guy.
Hey, thank you for making time for us today. What a beautiful day it is, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks again. Folks, you're listening to WQBQ 1410 AM, the voice of Lake County.